What's going on, fragrance family? Welcome to another episode of Taking a Test Drive Thursdays. Taking a Test Drive is where I wear a scent on my skin as my scent of the day for several days, including today. And now it's time to give you my thoughts before it goes into the vault for a full-fledged review. Today's test drive is on the house of Issey Miyake and an excellent darker scent called L'Odyssée pour Homme or Encens. This one and the amber one are the 1-2 punch of, let's say, hype trains within our fragrance community to show that Issey Miyake is not just a freshy brand, they are a well-rounded fragrance house. So let's go under the hood for L'Odyssée pour Homme or Encens. Release date was back in 2017. Nose behind this is Christophe Renaud. And the major notes to my nose, of course, incense is in the name, and it is also inside this bottle. It is one of the major notes in this particular fragrance with rose and also leather. Now it's time to crack this one open. It is my scent of the day. I'm wearing it today, but I want to remind myself of this introduction to L'Odyssée pour Homme or Encens. And the introduction kind of brings you to the ride that this one is going to give you. Very interesting opening. It really is a gorgeous opening. It has a certain balsamic quality, which I absolutely love, and it really draws me in. The rose here is jammy, so it kind of gives you a fruity aspect, and it gives you some depth. You got that fruity nuance to such a dark scent, and I love when brands do that. They kind of have like an interesting opening to a darker scent. The one thing I kept writing in my notes while wearing this particular fragrance in the introduction is that I absolutely love the complexity of the introduction and the blend of this particular release for a designer release. It gave me a lot of different nuances. So yes, off the bat, you have like a rose that's jammy. You have some resins here. You have a balsamic quality. You do also have some woods. You have a suede-like leather here. I feel like this scent right here isn't really a unique idea, but it's a rather unique scent. I think the balsamic rosy quality is really the thing that sets this thing apart. It's really intriguing. It kept me smelling my arm when I first applied this one, and it was a love on first sniff. Now let's get more into the dry down of this release. The dry down introduces some spices here. There is a note of cumin in the note breakdown on this release. And to those that are scared of cumin in releases, it certainly isn't strong, and you shouldn't be scared of it in this release from my several wearings here. The resins continue to persist here. It's a resinous release. I felt the incense itself is of a cold kind, not too smoky, and it was very much lingering in this scent, which is something that I really wanted it to. And pairing with a suede-like leather, I felt like that balance was really well done. There's a small ambery glow here, which you know I love in my scents. And the rose itself continues to push, but shares more of the limelight in this dry down. So the darker tones come to play more into the dry down than in the introduction. The introduction, the rose, I felt was the primary note, and I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, it was a good scent, but I'm like, is this really an incense-based fragrance? Because the rose was dominant, but now I see a lot of different facets here, and the rose kind of took a step back to those darker notes, including, of course, the incense. There's a good amount of woods here to back this scent, and completes the complexity of Or Encens, which certainly isn't just another incense-based scent. Really great transition from the introduction to the dry down. An excellent scent from top to bottom. Now let's get into seasons, day, night, versatility, and of course, performance. Let's start this one off with seasons. The seasons I felt that were best for this release. Most of my testing were made in fall and winter, and I feel like that's where it shines. I felt like in the fall, it did very, very well, actually better than in the winter, but it's still a good one in the winter. And, you know, I haven't tested it in the spring, but I feel like the start of spring, when things start to warm up, but it's still cool outside, I feel like this thing can still be worn at that season. Day or night, I feel like this is more of a nighttime scent from the house. Again, there's nothing wrong wearing this during the day, but I feel like nighttime is the best time for it. Versatility. The versatility of this fragrance is fairly average. It's not so daring that I feel like, ooh, it's under the average scope. I feel like you can wear it for a lot of different reasons. And that goes to performance. The performance was pretty good. I feel like the longevity was better than the projection. So the longevity was 7 to 9 hours, which is pretty good for a designer scent. That's what I'm looking for. It's almost like the sweet spot of a good designer scent. And projection was average. So do I want more push out of this release? Yeah, of course. Especially a darker release like this that really does have a lot of interesting pieces to it. I really want people to smell that incense, that jammy rose and the woods and the spices and all that. But unfortunately with the projection, it starts dying down quite quickly after a few hours. Now my final thoughts on L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme or Encens. This flanker continues on the run of Issey Miyake's run of silently moving forward as a strong, well-rounded men's fragrance line. This release is rather unique, not only in the designer realm, but also niche. I'm having a hard time to try to really compare this release to other fragrances. There are comparables out there, but nothing that touches this as a whole. It reminds me a bit, and if I want to do a comparable, of Smoked Oud from Vince Camuto. If you're looking for a cheaper alternative, but honestly, and this is just my 2 cents with these wearings, I think the Issey is 10 times better than the Vince Camuto. Much more polished, it has more depth. The complexity is way out there. And the Camuto does not have those aspects. Plus the performance on this one is really good. An outstanding release. I'm looking forward to wearing this one more in the future, honestly. Once I get to review this one, this is one of those that I think is going to be really fun for me to review, to test it out different seasons, different types of occasions, things like that. I loved every time I wore one. When I wrote my notes and looked at my notes before settling with the notes that I'm saying to you today, every single wearing, there was not a bad wearing. Like, I just kept saying, this is fantastic. I love it from top to bottom. The introduction showed me this, this, and this on this wearing, which was really great. I'm discovering new things more into the dry down of this release. So really an interesting designer release, one that did get hype on YouTube, and it gets my seal of approval in these early stages. I absolutely love this one. Now that I'm done with L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme or Encens, time for you to hit us up in the comments below. What do you think of it? Looking forward to reading your comments below. At the end of the day, a great or poor fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube.